Welcome to the Museum of London Docklands. In this film, we'll be exploring how a visit to our London Sugar and Slavery Gallery can support your students learning about the transatlantic slave trade and its link with what we now know as Canary Wharf. Before even going inside, you'll notice that the local area and even the museum building itself have so much to tell us about the history of slavery in England. Our building is housed in a 200-year-old former sugar warehouse in what was the world's first dock complex, built in 1802. The West India docks were built to receive goods that were being imported to London from the West Indies, such as sugar that was being grown and harvested by enslaved men, women and children. Up until 1807, the West India docks also served as a port in the transatlantic slave trade, sending slave ships to Africa and the Americas. At least 22 known slave ships unloaded produce here. You can see more evidence of the area's links to the slave trade in the surrounding landscape. This statue is of the merchant Robert Milligan, who was also a slave trader in Jamaica. This gate, which was the entrance to the docks, is named Hibbert's Gate after George Hibbert, another West India merchant whose family traded in enslaved people. Let's go inside to dig deeper into the story of London, sugar and slavery. When you first enter the gallery, you and your students will be immersed in the richness of West African cultures prior to the transatlantic slave trade, before examining the production and popularity of sugar and the developments of the docks. Here you will also find stories of some of the 10,000 black people who lived in late 18th century London, including servants, free men and women, entertainers and nobility. Next, you and your students will learn about the conditions of enslavement and the ways in which people resisted it, including gripping first-hand testimonies from those who survived and campaigned against slavery. The final section of the gallery will challenge students to consider the legacies of slavery and empire. This immersive video experience plays every 15 minutes and highlights the ways in which slavery stripped people of their identity, language, culture and families, but also how traditions survived. Here are some of the objects you won't want to miss on your visit. This list of captains and destinations of ships that set sail from London, demonstrating the scale of the trade in enslaved Africans. Sugar bowls like this one, representing the ways in which anti-slavery campaigners highlighted the horrific reality behind the sugar Londoners used to sweeten their coffee. These books and letters of the slave-owning Mills family are devastating insight into the cruel reality of life on a plantation, including records of slaves owned as property and the punishments they suffered. The gallery will really help to instigate thoughtful discussions and is sure to leave students with lots of themes to contemplate during and after their visit. You may encourage your students to consider Africa's history and cultures. How have they been represented in the gallery? Why are black abolitionists in the 18th century not as well known as other campaigners? Students can also discuss how Africans and black people in London have been treated at different times in history, after abolition, post-war migration and today. You might ask them, how have attitudes about race changed over time and what has stayed the same? Don't forget that students can reflect on their experiences straight away by using the comment cards in the gallery. This will allow them to personally engage in a dialogue with the museum and each other, with the experience still fresh in their minds. It's also an opportunity to consider the implications of modern-day slavery and the goods we buy today. To find out more and to book a visit, go to museumoflondon.org.uk/schools.